Hey, Facebook friends and family. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. John Michael here. I'm getting ready to make some soap. So many of you know we went to Cuba earlier this year on a missions trip. We went to a small town called Aloe, and I'll show you on the map here where we're at. I don't know if you can see that okay. All right, so here's Cuba, just down south of Florida. And down here on the left side is Havana. Down here on the Horn, this small little town in this area is called Aloe, and it's about 2,000 people. It's near the Pilon region. Some of you are familiar with Pilon coffee. Ironically, Pilon is actually now made in, I think, New Jersey, but that's part of our ingredients in homage for Cuba. So when I was there, Pastor Dadier, who's our host, he was telling us that the average Cuban makes about $12 to $15 a month US that they have to live off of. And it's very hard times right now because we are also facing major crisis in Cuba with not just the strengthening or the tightening of the embargo, but also you have relations with Venezuela and Brazil and some of their other major trading partners that are facing their own economic challenges who are major trading partners of Cuba. So right now, very, very, very tough times in Cuba. And they have, even if you do have money, if you go shopping in the stores, they're just very barren. And when you take that $15 a month that you have to live off of for food, they're rationing things like eggs. You get 5 eggs per family per month. It becomes very, very tough and strenuous times. And so they actually have to spend about $1 of the 15 a month just on soap, and about another $1 out of the 15 on cleaning supplies for laundry and things of that nature. So I got back from my first trip in March, and I just felt very, very sad about the state of the thing. Now, the amazing thing about the Cuban people, they were some of the happiest people I've ever met. And they were so welcoming, they were so generous with what little that they did have. But I just couldn't get past the fact that there had to be more that we could do. There's been other places that we've been on missions. As a young child, I went to Guatemala, and as a teenager, I think that there is a lot of places around the world that are hurting. But the challenge with Cuba that I think stands out most to me is they're literally stuck on an island, right? Sometimes you hear that term. They literally can't get supplies in other than what the government does for trading. And so they have to work with the supplies that they have around them, which is very limited on a tropical island. So I started thinking about this soap, and I've never for 1 second ever made soap, never heard about the process of making soap, but I just felt inspired to start researching it. And so this is the culmination of 6 months of research and study. I've made a bunch of test batches. Thank you to my test subjects, Tim Voorhees, and some of the other team, Diane Dent and Carlos, and of course Lynn and my family. They've been the guinea pigs testing out the soap and been getting rave reviews. So I'm actually going to be making this soap in the hopes that we can raise some funds. I'm going to be selling this soap at a very low cost. Whatever small margin that we make, we're going to be using that. Ivy and I are going to be going back in, well, December 13th. How many days is it? 2 weeks? 1 week? We're going very soon. And I'd like to take some of this funds to help them be able to make their own soap. You've heard that saying, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And so what our hope is to teach the people of Cuba how to use the resources around them to make a very, very important supply that they can either use for their own benefit, or even to trade for other things that they might need on the open market. All right, so when you're making soap, safety first. I've got my gloves, I've got my long sleeve on. Shout out to my Paycheck strategic account team. Safety first. It was one of the only long sleeve shirts I own in Florida. All right, so if you come over here, I'll show you the basic chemicals. All right, so you've got distilled water. The important thing with distilled water is it won't counteract with any of the other ingredients. You've got coconut oil, which we'll talk more about. Aloe Vera water. You've got lye, which is one of the active ingredients. You've got, of course, our coffee and sugar cane, as well as some of the dyes and fragrance. Okay, we might have children in the background.
Mommy, look at this.
Hold on, girls. Hey, girls, hold on. Hold on, yeah, I see it. All right, if you have 2 and 4 year olds, you know what that's all about. and my normal helper is actually the camera woman. Shout out to my wife Ivy. All right, so I started thinking about what ingredients do they have. Obviously on a tropical island they got lots of coconuts. Interesting thing about the area of El Bon, which is that small town that they're in, they actually have a lot of sugar cane. Of course they have coffee around them, and the more I researched it, the more I realized this makes an incredible soap. The coconut oil is one of the best oils that you can use for soap making because it actually is very good for your skin. It's a moisturizer naturally. The sugar cane helps with the sudsiness of the soap, which they have plenty of sugar cane around. The coffee is a great antioxidant for the skin, and the actual coffee grounds I'm going to show you we're going to use actually work like a very natural exfoliant. Rather than microbeads, coffee is a great exfoliant. So all of these chemicals combined, it makes a terrific soap. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our coconut oil. We're going to pour it into the basin here. Now there's a lot of prep time that went into measuring everything meticulously. You have to be very good about the exact amount of grams and ounces that you're doing things in because there is a chemical reaction that has to occur. All right, we're going to take our aloe water and we're going to add to it our fresh cup of Pelon coffee. All right. And we're actually going to start mixing the lye. And you might notice some steam come off. It'll get a little noisy here. Safety first. Don't try this at home. All right. Here comes the lye, which is sodium hydroxide. We're just dissolving it in. It creates a very powerful odor, which actually can create chlorine gas. So you want to make sure this is in a well-ventilated area. Best to have the kids outside while you're doing this, because it can cause burns. But an amazing thing happens when you add this very basic chemical, lye. It naturally counteracts with the coconut oil in a process that's called saponification. All right, I think that's pretty good. Got some more. Now, I don't know if you can get it close up here, but can you actually see the steam? All right, that's not because the coffee's hot. The coffee's been sitting there for a minute. It's because the lye is actually counteracting with the water and the aloe vera water. Just want to make sure it's good and dissolved. Alright, I'm curious if anybody's out there ever made their own soap. I ran into one person, actually my old boss actually used to make his own soap too. Alright, I think that's pretty good. That's just a regular stick blender there. One of the things I hope to be able to take down to Cuba when we go next week is all of these supplies that we're using today, including the scale, some mixers. I want to take an oil expeller, which actually allows them to take the coconut and turn it into the coconut oil. One of the things that's very hard to come by in Cuba is oil. Oil is very expensive. And whatever little oil they do have, usually the government is using it to sell for their own needs. So when I asked Pastor Daudier about coconut oil, he said, oh, that's too expensive. So then that got me on another rabbit hole. How do you make coconut oil? The coconut is an amazing, is it a fruit? I guess it's a fruit. Because not only can you use the coconut water, which is a great drinking, natural vitamins and things, it tastes great, very fresh, but the actual coconut, the white part inside, can be ground up to make the coconut oil, and then the leftover coconuts can be made and dried out in the sun to make coconut flour, which is great for cooking. So it has all these products. All right, we're going to go ahead and start mixing in, and you will see the coconut oil start to interact with the lye powder. in the sink. All right, we're going to continue mixing here. So you can see here, it's already starting to emulsify. And you can look closely, you can see this is called trace. We're starting to get a little stringy. That means the process has already started taking place, which is great. It's what we want. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the crown on Strong with Aloe coffee and actually add this in as our natural exfoliant. Okay. I'm going to use our hand mixer now. If you stir too much, it will actually get harder faster than it should, and you won't have time to work with it. Truth be told, we're probably a little bit further along than we should be with how thick it's getting. Happens very quickly. All right, you see how nice and dark it is? All right, I'm going to continue hand mixing here. Just make sure there's no big chunks of coffee there. All right. Now, funny enough, Aloe has a lot of the same letters there. You can see here we're up to a nice trace, getting nice and thick. The soap translation, the word for soap in Spanish is actually jabón, which is J-A-B-O-N. So I'm affectionately calling this Aloe jabón, which means Aloe soap. All right, now we're going to take half of this and put it into another container here. And we're doing this because we're going to make different shades of color here. All right, that one looks good. All right, so in we're going to pour some fragrance. All right, when the coffee actually reacts with the lye, it actually creates a kind of a burnt odor for a time, and the coffee fragrance helps to counteract that as well. All right, mix this as well. All right, now being that this is for the church in Aloe, you're probably wondering what these dyes are for. So the white's going to give it a little bit of a creamier color, like maybe more of a mocha. All right, and we're going to just do this for aesthetics. This is titanium dioxide. This is food grade, so I could drink this in theory. Probably won't for right now. Actually, I know I won't, but you could. All right, so it just gives it a little bit lighter color. I'll do the same over here. You can see now that trace is setting in. We got some children that want in the house. Okay, 1 second. Okay, we have a boo-boo.
I have a boo-boo, Mommy.
Okay. All right, that looks pretty good.
I have a boo-boo,
It smells great.
I have a boo-boo, Mommy. I have a boo-boo, Mommy. Mommy, I have a boo-boo.
I think somebody has a boo-boo apparently. I think she's okay though. All right, that looks pretty good. We're almost done. All right, now we're going to start putting this into the actual soap mold. Okay, I'm going to start with the darker and create a nice effect on the bottom and the top. And we're just going to pull it into the mold here. even this out a little bit. Alright, I think we're past the point of safety goggle necessary. That light should have reacted already. I'm going to pour in my lighter color here. Alright, now, for those of you in the church, we know soap only cleans the outside. What's wrong with most of man today is it's the matter of the heart. As we're taught in the good book, the thing that makes us really clean is the blood of Christ. So this is symbolic, not real blood. No animals were hurt in the making of this video. That's going to create a real nice color, and I'll show you guys what the finished product looks like in just a second here. Alright, and then we're going to finish off with our layers, and then we're going to decorate. Okay, we're looking like we're in good shape here. Alright, then we'll finish off with the darker. Alright, now I'm just going to even this out, make a little bit of a mess here. Now if you were here, you could feel, the fragrance is phenomenal, but you can actually feel the heat. This gets up to about 180 degrees during a process that's known as emulsification, and it's basically where the soap is starting to harden. Alright, looks pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to show you, we're going to let it set for a second. Now I was just actually over here in our soap that we currently use. This is a bar from about 2 months ago, and you can see the multicoloring there. Gives it a nice coffee cream effect. And then of course you've got the red reminder there, what really makes this clean, inside to out. I did run out of mold space, so last night I actually made this coconut oil. This is just a very basic, but this is actually lavender. Let me ask my video woman, how does this smell?
Very delicious.
So this is a lavender, and I'm just going to show you guys, after it's been sitting for about 24 hours, it will harden. And then you can actually cut it to size. This is a great all-purpose soap. You can use it in the kitchen, in the bathroom. But I want to give you an idea of what a bar of soap finish will actually weigh. Because what we'll be selling to raise funds for this effort is going to be 3 ounces. All right, it'll be much more scientific in my approach because I'll have actual I'll be to scale by the time we run production once we get the orders in. Alright, so no idea what this weighs, but it should be about 3 ounces is what we're after. Oops, that's grams. Okay. So it's going to look like about like your standard bar of soap. There you go, about a 3 ounce bar of soap. Alright, so when this dries, we'll cut that, and the finished product will look something like this. You can see the coffee grounds in there. Pretty neat. All right, so here's the deal, guys. Ivy and I are leaving on the 13th of December, so we have about a week and a half. I want to order the rest of the supplies that we'll be taking to help the church in Cuba of El Bon be able to make their own soap. And Pastor Dadier has already been working on making and extracting oil from the coconuts. The children of the village have been collecting coconuts. Pretty neat to see the teamwork there. Here's what we're going to do. The El Bon Jabon, which is the Cuban coffee soap. If you look at artisan bar of soap right now on Etsy or any reputable vendor, it's about $8, $6 to $8 a bar. I'm going to do the Black Friday special. All right, we'll call it 5 bars for $25. All of this money is going to be going straight to buying the supplies needed to take to Cuba in 2 weeks. So what we'll do is take pre-orders over the next week, and then however many orders that we get, I'll actually make those bars, we'll label them, we'll ship them out. It could be a great Christmas gift if you're looking for something creative for the family. I promise they'll look very nice and professional in the final delivery. If you are not in the Tampa area and we can't do local pickup, then we'll actually have those, we'll just ship them out, and then you would just pay whatever the shipping is. That's not going to be a profit center. Every bit of this is all for charity. All right, so guys, thanks for making soap with me. You've probably never seen soap made. That's how it's made, and I hope that you guys catch the vision with me and we're able to do some great things to help Cuba for the long term. God bless, and we'll talk more soon. See you guys.